Hi there, welcome back to History of Fleetwood Mac Singles. I'm Anita, and today we are going to be doing History of Fleetwood Mac Singles Part 8, Tusk Part 2. And we're going to be delving into the single Sara. I was going to try and cram Sara and the following single, Not That Funny, into one video, but I think I can make this kind of a short video and just give you a little detail about Sara, as it's such a special song. Definitely one of the Stevie favorites performed live. It's just got a very lush, beautiful sound to it. Clocks in on the edited version on the 45s at 4 minutes and 32 seconds. The album cut of the single was 6 minutes and 22 seconds. When Stevie originally recorded the whole demo, it was a full 16 minutes. And fans, like myself, have heard several other versions, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, probably all from the 16-minute demo, but still there are several to be had. Another interesting thing about Sara is there was a plagiarism case that was brought up against Stevie in 1980, so almost a full year after the album had been released. Not just when Stevie Nicks wrote those songs, but when the album Tusk had been released. And this woman named Carol Hinton, I think is her last name, had sent in a poem to Warner Brothers for songwriting consideration, and said several months after the album came out and Sara came out that Stevie Nicks had stolen lyrics from Carol's poem. Ironically, Carol's poem did include sentences of drowning in the sea of love and the line "when you build your house." And Stevie is just a very hither and thither artist. She writes in her own code, if you will. And the fact that anybody could possibly have written in that same way is not impossible by any means, but just pretty odd. And Stevie Nicks eventually settled with the woman in 1981, I think, almost a full year after the lawsuit was brought against Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac as a whole, I think. They settled out of court for $1,500, which, I guess back then was a pretty good amount of money. Um, but Stevie Nicks' pet peeve is that, the same could have been said about Carol, is that, Carol herself could have stolen those lyrics, and that Carol was lucky that Stevie Nicks did not sue her. It was a very interesting thing, and it hurt Stevie. The content of the song was difficult for Stevie Nicks. It's a possible ode to an unborn child between her and Don Henley, which is a bunch of speculation, dare I say rumors. It's also been said that it is an ode to Sara Recker, who is Mick Fleetwood's wife later, but at the time Stevie Nicks' best friend and a best friend. And when Stevie was secretly seeing Mick Fleetwood, which we didn't know about till many, many years later, Mick Fleetwood actually cheated on Stevie Nicks with Sara Recker. But I think that Mick was cheating on his wife with Stevie, so it's rock and roll. Things like that happen. But Stevie was terribly upset, and there was a period of time where her and Sara, I guess, didn't speak for long. All bridges have been mended. It's all water under the bridge, to use more bridgy water terms. But yeah, just kind of an interesting history of Sara. Every Fleetwood Mac song has its own story, but Sara definitely had a little bit more of a fuller, richer story, especially with that plagiarism suit. So, again, Sara had come out as a single for Fleetwood Mac in December of 1979. And with the handful of singles that I have, we'll begin with the USA one that got sent to radio stations, standard, stereo mono. This one is interesting because it has a little stamp, January of 1980. Uh, I'll buy another record like this if it has multiple stamps with different dates, because I'm weird. And because that's when a radio station probably got it, or their copy, or when they were going to send it back, but it instead ended up in somebody's hands or record collection. Um, I have a lot of singles that have different radio station stamps on them, and it's just kind of neat to have the record because you have also the history of where it was played and just little things like that. But I believe that this stamp was probably added by a radio station as to when they either received it, which is pretty late, I think, right? No, January 80, that would be about right, because it came out in December of 79, so it could be they didn't get it until then. Strange, but could be possible. Or possibly when they were going to return it. This did peak on the charts in the top 10. I don't remember how high it got. Maybe 6 or 7. So it certainly was played, so I don't think they would have returned it so quickly. But yeah, so that's our first single. The United States, promo, Sara, back to Sara, United States. Then we have the ones that people like you and I would buy from Tower or what have you. Tell me what record stores you shopped at in the comments. I'm curious. Tower Records was it for me. My God, if I think there's one left in Japan somewhere, and that's my Xanadu. That's Tower Records. Yeah, I just wanted to live there when I was younger, and I never really got allowance money. My mom just graciously took me to Tower Records, and if I did chores or cleaned my room and behaved, I'd get taken to Tower Records from a pretty early age. I think I got my first record player and single in I was about 8 years old, and we had shops like Kmart and Gemco because I'm from California, and those are places. Gemco specifically, Kmart, but definitely Tower Records. Tower Records is just so many things were purchased when I was younger. As an adult and over the years, when I've collected and gained more, of course, it'd be record stores and record shows and antique sites and such. But yeah, when a record came out at Tower Records, the United States release of Sara decided to have a picture sleeve on this one. Another Norman Seeff photo. There had been one I had shown you on a Tusk cover, and this is from the same session. And little Nick's down there, so cute. Great picture. Sara is backed by That's Enough for Me, which is one of my favorite Lindsay songs off the Tusk album. So that is the US 7-inch for Sara that came out prominently, I'm sure, at the time. 2 stores. December of 1979. Canadian version, standard picture sleeve. This is not a promotional one. This is Sara backed again with That's Enough for Me. Canadian. Just a little bit different font and such. Sorry. Not a big deal. Sara from the UK. The first one I have, this gives you I'm going to be a big girl and finally write down. It's in my head somewhere, but I can't keep too much in there at one time. To give you the right term for this damn thing. They started doing this on some records. This is from the UK, and this was genius. So that if you had the spindle that only had the one spindle part to play your LPs, you could play it without getting the spider, because that's what the little yellow piece, often yellow, would go in the middle. And I'll also get one of those out to show next time. But some records were released like this, so you could play, or you could easily pop this out, because it's perforated for you, and put your little spider in there and play it as a 45 with the larger hole cut out. Love it. So this is one of the few I have that's intact, or somebody did not punch it out. Probably a lot of these 45s that I got, other than United States releases, did come like this if they're European. So you have the option to keep it like this or pop it out. So because these records are 40 and 50 years old, probably everybody got one and popped this out in center. So this is just kind of unique. So that is the Sara, no picture sleeve for that one. UK Sara backed with That's Enough for Me. The Sara Germany one, it's Sara with That's Enough for Me, Germany. Picture sleeve. We have Sara, the nice cover. Again, the Norman Seif artwork. That's Enough for Me, out of Germany. Then we have from France, we have the same picture cover. Not much difference here. This one has a little bit of a thicker cardboard, though. Again, that kind of that sheen, that what I was telling you about earlier. Yeah, so. And this one is from, so the last one's from, what did I say, Germany, and we have France here. Then we have a very unique one. I found this about 7 years ago, and I was very excited. This was a very different sleeve for Sara. Again, yet another Norman Seif photo. And this is Sara backed with That's Enough for Me from Holland. And this is kind of a unicorn. There's not too many people that have copies of this one. A rare issued 45. Sara, That's Enough for Me from El Salvador with their unique sleeve. Not much difference, just, it's a legit release out of El Salvador, coming in the regular paper sleeve. Sara, again, with That's Enough for Me. Sara in English. Definitely one of the absolute rarest singles in my collection. In the rumors videos, I had discussed some of the possible duplicates being made. People are making fancy covers and selling just a regular record. This I've seen a couple more times, literally a couple more times. But again, over 40 years, I had never seen this. So I grabbed it immediately, of course, and it's probably about 2 or 3 years before I saw another. On Discogs now, there's like a dozen or 20 people maybe who have it. So I definitely think it is a legitimate cover. But yeah, it's super rare. I was very blessed to get it. And I'd never even seen, again, this is out of Chile, I'd never even seen a 45. So I also think it's real because it's not like I had the 45 that had come in a one of those weird, unique kind of plastic paper sleeves. And then somebody just made a cover. No, this was both the record and the single, the record and the sleeve, of which I'd never seen before. So, yeah, this is one of my top 10, and in all these records that I have is this one. And we're rounding that out pretty quickly. And we get to see if that was indeed my cat getting sick, if you heard that background noise. Big joke on the internet that we should make alarms of that noise because that will wake you up a mile away. Cats. Out of Spain, we have a very unique cover, again with another Norman Seif photo. Odd choice for coloring. If you remember on the Rumors one, there's one that was really orange. Is it just me? It's kind of peculiar, don't you think, that they go towards an orange shade with a lot of these photos? Maybe red? I don't think it's red. I think it's orange. Very blurry red. And I think also that the last one that I showed was from Spain. This is from Spain. And it's just odd to me that they dye so many of their covers really red. It's really saturated, rich, and red oranges color. But again, that same layout as I've seen with any single from Spain. Not just Fleetwood Mac. I've seen a couple others, but because this is what I collect, this is what I see the most of. It's all that same thing. There's a large picture, the lines. Usually it's blue here. This time it's yellow. But this one stands out a bit more along with the last one as far as different photo sleeves. A couple, rarer ones for the Sara single. And last but not least, to make this a nice short little video, we have Japan. Yay! Get this one undone here. I would have had this out if I had known it was that difficult. These are great sleeves. Oftentimes when you buy a record from Japan, they'll come in these resealable sleeves, sometimes with a little Japanese font across there. They are the best ones, but they're pricey to buy on their own. Most all the ones that I purchase are just open sleeves, but I love getting them in these fancy resealable ones. So we have the beautiful single sleeve Sara Norman C photo, and this one has an added bonus of a beautiful and somewhat unique live photo of Stevie on the back. It's nice when there's always extra stuff. As you'll see sometime later, of course, in my scrapbooks and magazine clipping collection, or just foreign magazines, it's always neat to come across those things because they always had different photos than what was used in the US. So often the US will get a photo and just run with it. It's nailed on everything. Same photo over and over and over again. Whereas European magazines and records and what have you would really kind of vary it up a bit and put something different on the front or back. So I like this one, not just because it's a Japanese release, but the addition of a real pretty Stevie picture on the back. As I bring up with all of them, this is the standard edition. There is a white label, one to be had, a promo one, but I have just only the standard release, not a promo version. And again, this one is Sara back with That's Enough for Me. And with that in mind, keep this short. That is enough for me and the part 2 of Tusk. And I will see you next time with part 3. And we're going to go over Not That Funny and maybe another pile. But at this rate, if clocking in about 18 to 20 minutes, I think it's just about right. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.